Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you all are doing great. I am doing okay. So today we're going to be working on a project. I am going to be using these Dollar Tree boxes that, you know what, I probably could have did better at picking these out because they look like they have been through the ringer. But that is okay. I'm not sure if you can see that stain right here. I did not do that. I haven't stained anything as of yet, but they did come from the Dollar Tree. You probably can find these pieces at your local Dollar Tree, if not these, something similar. So I've been wanting to work on this project for a while now, and I want to give you full disclosure. I have considered doing a wood craft series, and I still may do it, but right now I've been working with some wood because I wanted to make sure I had the video up and ready to go for what I intended to do, and it wasn't ready. So I'm not sure, because these pieces are cheap. Of course, they're $1, and as you can see, this one has a flaw on it already, and that's okay. We don't discriminate against things with flaws on them. We just make those imperfections into things that we note, right? So I think this piece probably got beat up, and maybe I didn't do it, but maybe, you know, I should have been a little bit more aware of what I was getting. So anyway, I hope that you all are doing great. I am okay. Like I said, school started this week, and I thought I would have this video up on Wednesday or Thursday, but no. I was in the streets looking for things to do. So anyway, I want to share with you what we're going to have. We're going to have some wood pieces, and you can have whatever kind of wood pieces you want. I have some Americana deco art. It's going to be noisy, so hopefully you're ready for that. This is called Sugared Peach. Now, I think I probably spent too much money on this. I bought it for $1 at Joann Fabric. You can buy paint. It's apple crate, apple barrel. It's close to Cracker Barrel, but it's apple something. From Walmart, if you have a Walmart near you, for 50 cents. So keep that in mind. And I know you're saying it was only $1. Yeah, I know. I wanted this color because it would go good with these napkins that I picked up from the Dollar Tree a couple of weeks or maybe a month or so ago now. And I thought this color would go really well with it. So when we get ready to do our decoupage, and it would go nicely. I'm also going to be using these, which I thought was a great deal. You get 30 brushes. I paid for this with my own money, just so you all know. 30 brushes for $3. Normally you get 25 for $5 or so from like the big box craft stores. Sometimes you can catch them on sale. So I want to use these just because I want to see how they work out. They feel pretty decent on through the package, but you know, you got to get your hands in and test them out. They are a bit small. I do like mine to be a little bit longer, but we will see. Like so, see. They're a little bit short in comparison to this. I don't know the numbers. I'm not a painter or anything like that. And then you're gonna need some type of decoupage. I have this one probably from the Dollar Tree. Yeah, Dollar Tree. And I also have this that I got from Tuesday Morning a while back, like a long time ago. So hopefully it still works. I do like Aileen's a lot, and I feel like she won't do me wrong, but it has glitter, so I don't know if it's glittery, but I don't really want the glitter. We want a matte finish so it doesn't have a shine on it, but you can do whatever you want. So you're gonna need that, and go ahead and grab some patience, because you're gonna need a little bit of patience. And I got these from Hobby Lobby, the wood pile. Now I want to tell you, like I told you, I've been thinking about doing this project for a while now. Not this particular one, but woodworking. So I went online to Amazon and ordered some clasp, not once but twice. I don't know what they are. Oh, and I need tools. You need tools. So everything I'm using is probably under $5 per item. So probably you can do this in $20 maybe. It's the tools that's going to cost more than anything else. So we will have to do a few things first. Now what I do recommend is you take off these stickers or whatever, and you try your best not to pull off the adhesive onto the wood, because the adhesive will stick and your project will look kind of on the weird side. We don't want a weird side looking project. We want our project to look like we care. You do want to cover your surface. But today, you know, I like to take a walk on the wild side whenever I'm crafting. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I do want to put a little caveat out there. Normally, I would recommend sanding these down so that they have a smooth surface, so you can go ahead and sand your pieces down first. I do not think we're going to finish this project in one day, just so you know, or one recording. And I hope you're okay with that. We will go through everything together versus me finishing off camera, unless it's like a 5-minute thing. If not, you know, I'll just go ahead and knock it out. So I do recommend sanding it down, but some people like the rough edges. I am feeling the texture now to see if I really want to sand it down, and the answer is no, I don't want to sand it. So we're going to go ahead and start, and I have a cup of water to the side. Everything I'm using has been purchased by me. I do want to say that I think these little brushes are little for littles, right? That's what people call the kids, the littles. When I think of the littles, I think of the mice, like Stuart Little's family. That's probably where they got one of those series from. When I was growing up, Saturday morning cartoons, the littles was definitely on the watch list. Okay, just make sure it's not anything on there, and I'm gonna give it a quick shake. Okay, so whenever I am like doing it, like putting the surface down, I always put like some wax paper down, because wax paper doesn't stick, or I will use something from the Dollar Tree, the cutting mats. But today I was just like, you know what, let's just try it out. And soap and water cleans up the mess, so we should be good. Now on the inside, I'm gonna paint everything, right? So I need to get a mini, I'll probably stop at the Harbor Freight store today and get a mini sand thingy, because I did sand some other boxes down yesterday with my hand, and I was like, this is for the birds. So yeah, that's why I'm doing it like this. So I'm just gonna pour some in. Now I only have one color of this, so I do want to be very precise. Not stingy, but precise. And I feel like it's going to need 2 coats. Why am I coating this? I could have did white and then painted over, but I want some of the wood to come through, but I also want to hide any of the major imperfections that the box may have, like that spot right there. And then it's a spot on the other side. I do want to cover that up, because I just feel like it would be prettier for our finished project. And this does dry matte, so if you want your paint to be shiny, you have to get a gloss shine finish versus a matte. And even though I poured that glob that I thought was a big glob, you can see that it's dry. These little cheap box, this wood sometimes will suck up your paint, so keep that in mind as well. I am not a professional painter. I feel like I have to say this every time I'm using colors, but I am not anywhere near a professional of anything. Well, I think that I'm probably a professional craft purchaser. I think we all are probably professionals at that on different levels. When I was younger, I used to think that I could get hired by someone to do their shopping. And lo and behold, they have that job now, right? But I don't want to do it, because I do not care for the crowds in the store. And it's not like I'm like, oh, I get freaked out by the people in the store. They freak me out, if that makes any sense. People are so weird that they do just oddball stuff that makes you question if they're really from Earth or not. Like, are there people among us that they didn't go to the obedience training or socialization training that you get as a child growing up? You know, like, don't cut in front of people in line, don't do this, because lately it's been a lot of that line cutting stuff amongst people. So it's kind of troubling. So now on this side, I just rubbed this on and some of the wood came off. Again, I did choose not to sand this down. But if you decide that you really want to sand it down, then you should definitely sand it down, because at the end, this is going to be a project that you would want to keep yourself or give to someone, and you don't want them rubbing it and saying, oh, this is so nice, and then they get a splinter, right? Splinters are the worst. Splinters are like right up there with hangnails. So that is your decision. That's your project, your funds. Now, I want to talk about the elephant in the room. This is the first week of school. Today is Friday. I like to have videos up ahead of time, especially for some of the projects that I've been working on. But I must admit, I've been like freaking out, like stressed, not sad stress, but worried stress. Like, am I doing this right? Kind of stressed. And you know, excuse me, I think that all of us experience the same thing, right? Just on different waves. And sometimes my experience is way worse than it really should be. And I know it's going to be okay. But like I've told you all before, sometimes you need to have that freak out period to be like, oh, that was it. Like, you know, when you go get shots, if you don't like shots, you're freaking out, and you're like, oh, that's that. So I'm not going to fall out convulsing on the floor like everyone is telling me. Oh, you drew my blood? Oh, okay. Now, me being in the medical field for a period of time, I do know how people freak out. So I can definitely understand. I also have been privy to seeing people pass out from blood draw, just thinking about it. And I've taught and I've watched people faint as we did their blood. They're talking and just go out, and they come back and they're like, did I faint? Oh no. And then you have people that are really bad that, you know, relieve themselves, and that's embarrassing. So I used to always tell my students, do not pass out, because we're going to stick our fingers in your nose. We never did, but you know, that's like a way to keep people from like freaking out and passing out. But people still do it. So I'm just giving this an extra little stroke. And now right here in the inside in this corner, you see I can't get that corner that great. So I'm going to use a paintbrush to get in that corner. And I am enjoying this color very much so. It does lend itself to say, did you miss a spot? But I didn't. It's just how the wood is, which is really cool. So you can see the stroke. So yeah, let's go ahead and finish that. Okay, so if you don't like making messes and you don't like your hands to get messy, which I am one of those people in both sentiments, only certain things do I mind getting my hands like quote unquote dirty for, and painting happens to be one of them, because it's not sticky, right? Like paint can be sticky, but once it dries, you're left with people asking, have you been painting? So I'm just taking another paintbrush from that little set, and I am going into the cracks and corners. Is it really necessary? Yep. Because you don't want your cracks to show. You know. Now, if you're a plumber, that may be a different thing. I feel so bad for plumbers, right? Like they had that bad reputation of mooning people, kinda. When oh, no. Okay, so this side isn't dry all the way. I just did a double coat on one side, and that's okay. No worries. So we're just getting these cracks right here. So I want to talk to y'all about school. I am 100% going to tell you, I am not ready. I was not ready. The first day, the big roommate was here, so we dropped our son off and picked him up together. Great, right? My baby cried. He didn't cry a lot, but he cried. Day 2, it's just me and him. He cried. Day 3. He cried. I cried. Not in front of him, but I did something to him. No, well, I didn't do anything to him, but I did something that I didn't like that I did. Let's just put it like that. Normally, we give each other a hug and a kiss. And I gave him a hug and a kiss, but it was a crappy hug and a kiss. Because I was like, you got to get out the car. There's people waiting behind us. And I kind of felt dismissive towards him. And so, if you know me, I went the whole day thinking how bad of a person I was, right? I let him down. When he got in the car, he wasn't even focused on that. He didn't even think about it. And so I felt bad, but at the same time, I told myself today, I'm getting out the car and I'm going to give this little boy a hug and a kiss, because I have trained my son to give hugs and kisses to mommy and daddy in the morning time, especially when we leave, because even though we like to say, oh, I'm going to be there to pick you up, you never know, something crazy could happen to either one of us, and I do not want any bad thing to happen. But at the same time, I don't want to be like, I rushed my child out the car and this happened. I want to have a happy memory of us hugging, me giving him a kiss on the cheek or the forehead, or giving him a quick tickle to brighten his day up. Today he cried and tried to turn around. And that's the part that's working my nerves. I don't know if I'm just being like overly sensitive, but the process keeps changing every morning, that when we drop them off, a different thing happens. So I'm hoping, like in the next couple of weeks, which I have 100% confidence in the school, that the drop-off situation will be better. I was talking to the big roommate this morning. I was like, maybe I should pick him up on foot. No, I ain't gonna walk to the school, because I don't want him to have to walk all the way home. Not at this age. When he's a little bit older, we'll discuss it and see if he wants to do that walk and stuff. Because I always tell y'all, I walked everywhere when I was growing up, everywhere. So I'm okay with that walk, and I don't know if I'm built for it anymore, but I'm definitely okay with it. Anyway, I have contemplated, I'm just toying with the idea of homeschooling, and I want to discuss what people like to tell you is good, because that's what they told themselves, I think, or that's what you tell yourself when you want to send your child and you want other people to do it because you feel like that's the right thing to do. The first thing people say is, oh, he or she needs socialization. And that's not true. That's not a good statement to say, and I'll tell you why. If you've been talking to your child and you say hello to a child that you don't know and they speak back, they're socializing. That is a form of socialization, carrying on the conversation. What little kids really need to do is be around their peers, not mommies and daddies and sister and big sister, big brother peers. They need to be around their own peers. And I think that's what adults tend to... I'm just checking the corners to make sure that we're good. That's where they miss the mark, right? That's where they miss the statement. And I think a lot of adults feel, and I can only speak from my experience, what people have said to me, and even things that people have said to me when I was a little kid, or said to my mom when I was a little kid, growing up. Because I tell you, I had some wild days as a youth. So I would recommend standing this side down. You can see, you may not be able to see it that well, but it's like scruffy, roughy. So I would definitely recommend sanding that down. And I'm just in these corners. I want my crack to show, like I said. So I'm in these corners getting this. And there we go. I'm just getting the napkin out. Hopefully, are you crafting along with me? Oh, they duped us. So this is It's a fancy napkin for one. It says Guest Napkins Service. Normally they'll tell you like the ply or whatever, but it's only one image. You see that? The rest of this is just malarkey. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just cut this off because we don't need these edges. You can do whatever you want with your napkin, but we don't need the edges, right? So I like to cut these portions off. I know some people tell you to use water and etc. to pull off what you want to get pulled off. We'll talk about that. We'll get to that water thing in a second. But right now, I'm just cutting these edges off because we don't need the edges, right? We need the edges to clean our hands with. I remember last year when, you know, was no toilet paper or paper towels. I was like, well, if we ever run out of paper towels or toilet paper, I got plenty of napkins. We good. That's what I told the big roommate. And he was like, yeah, we got plenty of paper too. Because, you know, he's a smart butt sometimes. So anyway, back to this whole school situation, homeschooling and or public schooling. Of course, it's up to the parent what he or she or they want to do with their child. So I think that's the one thing that people tend to fail to remember is that it's your child, and you can do whatever you want that's safe and not going to cause that kid harm, right? So what I want to do, I want to put these two just like this, and this will be the bad side. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to mark on this slightly, and I'm just going to put B A D B A D. Okay, still a little bit tacky, and that's okay. We're not really concerned about that. So the reason why I put the bad side is because we're going to put our screws on this side. All right. So this will be the front, how it opens. And we're going to have a little latch right there as well. Now what I wanted to do, I tried to figure out what would be a best way for me not to lose my mind and to cover up these stars. So I actually went and bought some wood to like put in here and mesh. I was like, that's a bit obsessive, too much. So we're not going to do that. But we need to figure out this napkin since we've been a little bit on the duped side by the company. Just a small amount. So now I'm going to take another paintbrush. I'm going to take a bushier one. If I can find a slightly bushy paintbrush. Now, even though these are cheap paintbrushes, I tend to rinse them out and pretend like they're $1 million paintbrushes. So I do have my bucket of water right here, and I'm just letting them soak. When I finish this project, I'll take them downstairs and run soap and water through them. Is that what you're supposed to do? She don't know. That's what I do. Okay. So now what we're going to talk about is these plies. Some of the plies come off really easy and some don't. And this is why you have your tool, some type of tool. People use tape. All kinds of fun stuff. All right. So that wasn't too bad. Even though I feel like they did dupe us. They only gave us one panel. And this panel is connected. So it's like this pattern repeats. And I guess I'm okay with that, but not really, if that makes any sense. All right. So, you know, when I was growing up, like I said, my life wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the greatest. I'm going to put F for front and then B for back. So this is the front box. So that means that you'll see this side first, right? But you know, I turned out pretty decent. When it's all said and done, all the bad made me a better person. So, you know, it took me a while to realize that with my life. And I do think that parents screw up their kids. So if you have a child, you're screwing your child up some kind of way. And, you know, now that people go to therapy, they can work that out with their therapist to figure out how great or bad of parent you are. Same thing with school. I had told my friend her son was born in August. So he's in the 1st grade this year. Even though our kids were born the same year, my son is a year behind because he's born in October, right? So, so now what I'm going to do, a lot of people use the paint brushes, the water pens to get rid of this excess. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the paintbrush and I'm just going to gently paint around the edges of the flower. Now I do want it to have a little bit of a torn look to it, so I am not going to be upset if it tears kind of crazy. I'm just using the back as a little separator. If you've done decoupage before, whatever works for you is what I recommend you do. This is just something that I have learned and quote unquote perfected over time for me and my sanity. If you go really hard, you can also tear it, right? Like that. So anyway, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, when I was growing up, oh, you shouldn't have her here, is what they would tell my mother. And my mom was one of those people that you really don't tell what to do because you're going to get cussed out. She'll cuss you out and not even think about it, right? All right. I don't have that spirit. I tend to kind of take into account certain things before I respond. But again, what people tell you about your child is just sometimes unsolicited advice, and you can take that with a grain of salt, right? Because a lot of people like to give advice, but they don't want to take the advice for themselves. So in my son's case, I wouldn't be taking him out of school because I fear socialization issues, because he's a great socializer. But what I want him to learn is things that I can't teach him. He has to learn, right? He has to experience, like sharing, being fair, patience, and things like that with other little kids. Because at home, he pretty much doesn't have to worry about sharing with anyone. He's by himself. So he doesn't have to share the TV. Besides when I'm in the mood and I'm like, no, we're watching Scooby-Doo, for example, versus one of his little kitty cartoons. So that's something that, you know, he has to deal with. Or learning how to follow directions from someone other than mommy, because mommy gives you slack. Mommy doesn't, you know, there's no consequences on some things, versus at school, it's a consequence behind everything you do bad. Right? Everything you do bad can lead to your parents being called. You know, you can get into a fight with your fellow classmates. I moved this cup and still didn't move it far enough. Things like that. So, yeah, I think that sometimes when people give you advice, it's just crap. Because they feel like, and you know, sometimes people don't know what to say. They want to say something because everybody got something to say, right? When they should just shut up, really, and just not say anything at all. Because, you know, like when he wasn't in daycare, and I don't work, so this is going to sound really crazy. After, you know, we moved back to San Antonio from Mississippi, he wasn't in daycare, but someone's like, oh yeah, you should take him to daycare. I'm not working. We have one income. You want me to take him to daycare, I have to pay when I'm at home, right? Because essentially what people are saying is, oh, you need to go to work. You need a job. You need to do something. So in order for you to work, you need to put your son in daycare. And again, unsolicited advice kind of goes in one ear and out the other. But I'm nice about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll try. I'll think about it. Blah 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 blah. Because sometimes people feel like, oh, she's gonna listen to me, or I really want them to know this, or I really should tell them that. Like, if you're not telling me about a great deal or a great sale on some craft stuff, I'm probably not going to take your advice about how I should be parenting. You know, again, a lot of people tell you about how you should be parenting, and then when you look at their kids have done some really weird, messed up stuff. And I don't know if they're trying to redeem themselves and think that, I don't know, so I just tend to say, okay, yeah, At the same time, though, I feel like I shouldn't give advice to people unless they ask. And so I always say, do you want me to tell you how I feel? Or are you just saying that, or what? Because I'll tell you versus me just butting in. Now, some things I do have authority over. I do have authority on, right? So I'll tell you a prime example. I have my mom, she passed away in 2012, and then my coworker, her mother passed away a year later, right? And I told her, I said, I can't tell you how to feel, but all I can tell you is that I can relate. I understand if you're feeling a certain kind of way, because I definitely understand that. And, she was like, thank you, because a lot of people will tell you, someone told me that I should get over it, and we're not friends anymore because of that nonsense. So, people tell you dumb stuff all the time, and you have to decide on whether or not you want to listen to that dumb stuff. And if you decide that you want to listen to the dumb stuff, then I feel like that just gives that person that's giving you this dumb advice to get over your parent dying is really an idiotic thing to say. You're giving them authority. I'm just going to cut this down a little bit because it doesn't fit. But you're giving them authority to say, oh, yes, he or she is going to listen to me, so I'm going to tell them some more dumb stuff. Right? And I think that's where you got to draw the line at something. So when my friend told me that, I said, oh, really? I said, I hope you never have to deal with that. But you will, because, everybody comes and goes in life. And I just hope you can deal with it better than you feel like I'm dealing with it. Right? Because they were like, you should just get over it. And I think people want to tell you that dumb stuff so you're not hurting, instead of just shutting up, right? Like, don't say anything. You don't have to say something just because you feel like you need to say stuff. It's not needed. All right, so we're going to take this. I don't have I like a big wide paintbrush when I'm decoupaging. You may have to try this one. We're going to take the sponge first. And I want to tell you something. Okay, so this came from the Dollar Tree. A lot of people will pour their liquid into the container. I don't recommend that. I recommend you get something that you can throw away, or some plastic or something like that, because if you do that, you are going to mess up your lid. So what I tend to do now is I just pour a little bit out. That's a lot of it, but I pour some out. And I just smooth this down onto the surface. Now, I know other people don't put any on their surface. I don't think it's a right or a wrong way to decoupage your projects. But if you feel like you need to really, really understand how to decoupage, I would definitely recommend you go to the company that sells the product. They should, not all the time, but they should have a go-by, some instructions. So I'm just going to spread this all the way out, and I'm doing it a little bit thin. And now I'm going to sit this right here. I'm going to take this piece. I'm going to put that down right there. Just like that. And now I'm going to take and I'm going to brush this on. So hopefully you can see the colors kind of match a little bit. So you can see that it's kind of like blending in. And I'm just going to smooth this out. Now, the one thing I forgot to grab was saran wrap. I do recommend some saran wrap to make your napkin, whatever your decoupage and lay flat, right? You could also take a scraper a paint scraper, something really, really flat. But that may tear it, just so you know. I don't know why this wild string is on here. From the paint brushes, probably. Okay. So I'm just reapplying. I'm just going to gingerly, gently use my fingers. Okay. And now I'm going to take my hand, the paintbrush, and just rub it over. You really want your brush and glue to touch, in my opinion, to touch the front and the back of the surface. It helps it lay down a lot better. And now I'm sealing my outside as well as I'm gluing it down to the other side. So do not think that you can put this down and not have anything on the front, because something will peel up. Trust me. I've done that before when I made some cards. I didn't glue enough down and it started peeling. Like when I make experimental projects, like this is definitely an experimental project, I tend not to give them away. Right? But I always tell people, if I give them something, hey, it's handmade. So you know what handmade means. They're like, oh yeah, I know, handmade. It can fall apart. And sometimes I just worry that my work isn't, you know, good enough to be given away. And some things I'm like very confident in, and I'm not fazed by it at all. I really thought this napkin was beautiful at the Dollar Tree. You know, it's something that happens when you walk into Dollar Tree. It's like a mist that drops in the air, and it's like spend all your money because everything's only $1. And you get in a Dollar Tree and you lose your mind. Because if you put 50 things in there, guess what? That's $50. It's not quote unquote super cheap. So some things that the Dollar Tree sells I don't buy, because Walmart, when I go to Walmart, sells them for 98 cents. And they may sell more, maybe a better quantity. And it may, I feel like some of the Dollar Tree product, the 98-cent products from Walmart are better quality as well. Even though they probably have the same made in location. Probably the same people making it, same company, just a different label on there. I don't know. But I'm not anti-Dollar Tree at all. Like, I support the local Dollar Tree probably too much. All the local Dollar Trees too much. I don't really tend to go into what's that store? Not Payless. Family Dollar or Dollar General, unless someone tells me, hey, so and so they have this. Like, I went to look for something from the Dollar General, and I got a whole bunch of dishwashing liquid, because it was on a very good deal for a large amount, a big quantity. Like when we go to the flea market, sometimes I'll buy it, because you know, those couponers, they go and coupon and they spend $2, and they go to the thrift store, to the flea market, and they sell a whole bunch for cheaper. So in our next one, we're going to cut some of these off a little bit more, because as you can see, it's starting to tear because somebody being heavy-handed. I wonder who that could be. I don't know. All right. There we go. Now, if you wanted to, you could definitely do some other stuff to your project, right? I don't want to right now, because this, again, is like the experiment. This is our test subject. And I don't want to do it. Because, you know, even though we're going to do this, I want it to fully dry. And I think Decoupage says 4 hours to dry. See, it says seal or apply, thin coat, dry 15 to 20 minutes, between coats. Quick finish, apply smooth, moderate coat. So now I'm just going to pour a little bit on here. And I'm going to go over all of our work. Because, you know, I drew and painted and colored this, right? No. But we wanted to go over it. We don't want anything to dry up and start to peel away. Like right here. If you want to, you can just take this off. You don't have to worry about it, right? These pieces can definitely be scrapped. So for my son, I've been sending him to school with a lunch because, you know, we have a special diet. We don't eat beef or pork. And my son loves fruit, certain fruit. He loves more than other fruit. So he likes strawberries and blueberries and apples a lot. And I'm noticing, so you can pull this off too. Don't get crazy though, like I just did. Like it's not dry, so don't go crazy and start scraping it like I just did, because you're gonna ruin your project, and then that's gonna make me mad at myself for being careless, and that's what I was just now. But good thing is, it's not too bad. It wasn't too bad of a mistake, right there, to do that. Now, if you really want this to be super, super smooth and not bumpy, like right here, it's going to be a little bit bumpy. But you know what? I'm okay with that bump because the flower has some, it looks like it has texture in it. So we're just helping that texture out a lot, in my opinion. You want to do something to make it not so bumpy. And so what you do is you take something and smooth it. Smooth as you go. Don't put it all on and then try to smooth, because you're going to tear. It's going to be a rip somewhere in your project, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to make sure that that is good to go. Now, as you all know, Mod Podge is a sealant, so we're going to let this dry for a while, and we're going to work on this next one, and we're going to call this video done for now, because I'm going to apply another coat, and I want it to be really, really dry, because I'm going to seal it and then go from there, right? So all I'm doing is just tearing this off. You could cut it as well. Like, my impatience is probably shining through. Like I said, you need to, my order of patience didn't show up. And I do recommend you cutting this with all of the plies on versus no plies, because the thinner your paper is, the more likely you could damage your image. So if you're okay with damaging your image, then that's fine. But if you're not okay with damaging the image, then don't do it. Don't cut it in one ply, right? And I think I'm going to go back over with the napkin, the paintbrush anyway, to get more detailed in those edges. But the Dollar Tree napkins, in my opinion, are hit or miss. So some of them are really good quality napkins, and then some of them are not good quality napkins. And the thing that we have to keep in mind, especially me, is that the Dollar Tree is not selling napkins for us to decoupage with. They have them in the party section because some people, normal people, use it for food. They're not using it for what we're using it for. Now, let's see, this is the front, yes, front. This is the back. I'm not going to be able to put this whole napkin piece on here. So I will put this this on this side, right? And look, because I don't know if I want, and the answer is no. I was gonna say I don't know if I want to cut a piece and place it, like just have this little outline on there or not. So we're not gonna put anything on the inside of this because I have plans for that, I think. And I don't want to put one on the front and the back, so I'm gonna put one there. And you know what? Let's see. I think, yeah, I'm gonna cut this piece off. And then go from there. All right, so now this is when you can do your fine detailing, right? So I want to keep this tulip. I think that's a tulip. I don't know. So we're gonna put that like that. Yeah, that looks good. So now what we're gonna do, and see this paint, like I said, I thought that paint matched perfectly. And hopefully when this dries, you won't be able to see much. Right? But this is our test one, so we'll be okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm just detailing this to cut this down. You know, I just finished reading a book. It's called, for the book club that I'm in. I didn't read the book, I listened to it. So I just finished listening to an audio book. It's called Arsenic and Adobo. And the book is, for me, it was a slow start. So I'm just pulling this off. But it had a strong finish, right? It had a very, very strong finish. And it has so much different delicious food listings in there that I just really want some. I really want some. I'm okay with the paper if it tears. Just not too much. I want to give it that kind of pulled edge look anyway. But the ladies in the story are Asian. The people in the store are Asian, and I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think this is a cultural thing for having elders talk about you in your face and or behind your back. So I'm just seeing where I want to put this at, right here. Yeah. It was, you know, like I said, it was a slow start for me, but it had a strong finish. So the reason why I bring it up is because I think every culture has those older ladies that gossip and tell you what they feel is right or wrong, because they've lived everything and they have a certain mentality on how you should be. And I think over time that can work on your mind. And I think it's in every culture. I don't think it's just one culture, because I know my aunt was like that. My mom was like that. She would always say just weird, crazy stuff like, you know, at a certain age, people expect for you to have kids. A certain age, people expect for you to be married. A certain age, people expect for you to grow up, you know, certain things like that. Start doing stuff and being an adult. And I think that in itself is not cultural. That is just how they grew up. That's how I'm pulling this off a little to give it that little torn edge look versus a clean cut. You know, I think for the most part, that is just something that society expects. And because that's how they grew up, they're going to impart their wisdom on you. I know I was talking to the big roommate about our son, And I am not opposed. Please, please don't. You don't have to get mad at me when I say this. But if my son decides that he wants to live here, and you know he's productive. Let's just say he's productive. I'm not saying he's sitting on the couch, pulling the Al Bundy, right? Sitting on the couch with his hands in his pants. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if he decides that he wants to stay home until he can figure out life and get it together, I'm not opposed to that. But I'm also not opposed to me telling him you need to go and become a productive citizen of society, right? But I feel like what people see is you enabling your child to just sleep on the couch, you know, sit on the couch, although he would probably have his room. But I've already told my husband, like, once this child leaves for college, I'm turning his room into, we're knocking down a wall, and I'm getting that room for my craft space. So he got to go, you know. He got to go, basically. He don't have a choice. But, you know, you never know what could happen. Like, we're both older parents to a young child, so he may be forced, unfortunately, to have to stay home and take care of one of us because the other one is too crippled or old or whatever to help. And I feel like, this is just how I feel like in any culture, if the parents have raised their children properly, then the child shouldn't be like, oh, I got to stay home and take care of my mom or my dad because they're this or they're that. I think that when you teach them love, that is a part of being loved and teaching them respect for the elders and things like that. So reading that book was kind of like very, very reassuring that all cultures are just as crazy as the American culture, as well as my upbringing. Like when my mom was here, she would be like, don't feel obligated. What she say? Obligated to do this or whatever. And I would always tell her, I said, I don't feel obligated. It's my responsibility. You know, you gave me life. You did this for me. The least I could do is take you to the daggone hospital, you know, or the least I can do is pick up something from the store for you. I think that, you know, my mom and I, we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things as I got older, because she would always feel like everything I was doing for her, I had a problem with doing it, right? Like she would think that I was anti this or anti that, which was furthest from the truth. I wanted her to be happy, and I felt like that was my responsibility as her child, you know, because she didn't have to carry me in her body. She could have got rid of me. She could have gave me away. She could have treated me poorly growing up. And, you know, I always tell y'all, as parents, you do what you can with what you have, right? All right, so this is going to be the front. I like it. What do you think? You like it? So we're going to put something on this side too. Don't worry. I know you're like, well, what about the other side? We have more paper. Jeez. We're good. We're good. We're going to use this side. The problem is, I don't want to use this. We're going to have to use this one because this is like a funky shape. And we need that funky shape because we have this on the front, right? Oh, I love feeling this. So right here, you see how it's like creeping up? What you can do once it's all dry is you can come and take some sandpaper and sand it off, because normally Mod Podge is not forgiving once you dry it. So once it's dry, and you're like, oh crap. So just keep that in mind, okay? So yeah, I think that, you know, everyone wants to tell you what they feel is best for you. And in life, you sometimes have to do what is best for yourself. But I am not one of those people that's anti hearing advice, because I give it out as much as I can when it comes to certain things. The one thing I don't tell people is how to raise their kids, though. I feel like that's an insult to a parent. Even if they're doing a crappy job, I just kind of keep my comments and thoughts to myself, because that's not my place to tell you that you suck as a parent or that you should be doing this as a parent. Because my son, in the state of Texas, you have to have your child in some form of restraint, car seat or booster seat, up until the age of 8, right? So my son is in his car seat because the car seat that I bought for him is like a 0 to whatever age that they're supposed to be, 0 to whatever it says. So the car seat he's in adjusts to his height and size and everything like that, blah, 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 blah. So I was telling my husband, I was like, I don't know if I should take him out the car seat or not, because I don't see anybody. All the kids are just getting out the car. Like, none of them are in car seats. None of the parents are getting out and getting their kids out. Now, the car seat my son has is like a harness one across the chest and then one in the groin area, right? So he has 2 little things, and he can't unstrap himself, but he can click himself in. So I was like, I don't know. And then so yesterday I saw this lady get out and she strapped her kid in. I was like, okay, so people are doing it. And then he was like, the big roommate was like, well, not everybody follows rules like you do. Not everybody's going to follow the law to the T. And I told him, I said, my luck, I'll get pulled over and get a fine, because I have great luck with law enforcement here. Great luck. I've gotten a few tickets. So, and plus I'd rather be on the safe side. This is my baby, not some toy, not a little toy doll I can go in and replace. I can't replace his life because I want to put him in a car seat, take him out the car seat. All right, so we have this. This is really cool. I like it. I hope you like it too. And I think, yeah, we're going to put this here, right? Because we're going to give the illusion. Hold on. I'm going to give the illusion that it's one little flower. Yeah, right there. And then we'll call this project on hold because it needs to dry. But I do hope that you all have really, really enjoyed this. I do love making a mess now. I love some decoupaging. I'm not into the sticky portion, but I do like it. I'm getting a little bit haphazard over here. A little bit carefree, too carefree. You don't want to get comfortable. Never get comfortable with your projects. That's my opinion. I always stay like, oh, I need to make sure this is perfect. I need to, because the minute you start letting loose and getting a little bit on the carefree side of your projects, you're bound. I know I am. I'm bound to make a mistake. So I don't know when I will revisit this project, but we still have, I know we have a few things we need to do to it. We still need to let this dry. I'm going to look and see if I need to coat it. I'm going to go ahead and probably tell you that I'm going to seal the whole thing. And I need to decide on if I'm going to do anything to the inside. Leave a comment in the comment section and let me know if you think I should put more napkins on the inside. I'll tell you why I don't want to put napkins in, so you'll know. I want it to be a functioning thing, and I feel like maybe just a piece of felt would be better in here versus more decoupaging. I feel like if I took some hot glue and put it in here, it would be better. Some felt. Even if I just glued it down regular, it would be fine. Versus more fabric. I mean, more napkins. Because that would take a little bit longer to dry, etc., etc. So I'm just going to seal this all in real quick since I have all this excess glue on my brush. And the good thing about Decoupage matte is it dries matte, right? And this is almost dry. All right, so this is our end result. So we paint it, and we decoupage. So I want to say thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know if you think I should put something on the back. More flowers. I mean, we can do whatever we want. We have lots of these, right? We have 16 more pieces to play with. I want to say thank you for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.